The way it basically started for me was around 14, 15 years old. I became really, really obsessed with drawing. Spent all my time at home, like in the dark, drawing, listening to music. That was basically my teenage years. Being an artist in Brazil seemed like the wrong choice, unless you wanted to really starve. I started working at a local studio in Rio, and that really opened my eyes to what design was. Illustrator for me, right after that, was my main tool, and I felt really comfortable with that, which was really weird because before, everything to me was about texture, but I found a new thing to me that was really comforting working with vectors. So a lot of people were suggesting, oh, you should move on to After Effects, and that's how I got into After Effects, experimenting by myself. Eventually got a job doing that and moved on further and further. All of a sudden I'm shooting commercials with like 50 people, as opposed to just being a complement to someone's live action. Motion graphics has become more and more just like the everything of someone's brand. For this project for Adobe, the first element that came to mind was a diamond, as thinking of like a perfect element, a perfect object. To me, instantly it made sense to create something that was about my creative process personally. Essentially, it's two different forces that both support each other and also clash against each other. Half of the image is very digital looking, and the other half of the image is very organic looking. And the manual is at the bottom supporting the digital, so for me it's kind of like my roots supporting what I do now. We're really trying to do as much as the movement for everything with expressions, so it feels like it has life of its own. For this Adobe piece, the music's being done by Darren Wiener. He and I have been collaborating maybe for about 7 years or so, basically since I started animating. The reason why I like collaborating with him is because he kind of builds things the same way that I do.
Yeah. We'll just pat him with the guitar.
He doesn't need a set structure. He likes the spontaneity of creating a piece. For him, it's always been about sampling, getting sounds from everywhere, basically. From old albums to whatever you can imagine. And then from there, creating music. He's been wanting to set up a tipi, you know, where it would have about 8 or 12 sounds that go up into this chandelier-looking thing.
That came out really smooth, huh?
He's letting them play spontaneously so that eventually you capture like, oh, this part works for it. So it's almost like you let them do their own thing, and eventually you get a part that works.
It's inspiring to have something that's totally different than what you do. Like, I don't do visual stuff at all, you know, and so that's why I like working with Nando, is because his visuals inspire me to make music.
My work is always about layers, elements on top of each other, and I'm always really interested in depth, you know, even though my work is all flat artwork, you know, vector. I'm very, very much about layering and the organization of objects and the alignment of things, but still making it seem very organic and spontaneous. And I think that's the inspiration I got from plants and rocks and elements I find. It's the irregularity of them, but still looking so perfect that it feels orchestrated. I like trying to combine my ideas with someone else's art. I think it ends up being stronger, and that's for me why I've always wanted to have a studio that had a design studio mentality as opposed to an animation production studio. It's the collaborative effort, allowing anybody to pitch in with ideas and being able to tweak your ideas around to make them better. A lot of the effects or solutions that we've found for projects, a lot of them have been accidents or have been, you know, an in-between solution. We're trying to get somewhere and we'll get elsewhere, and that actually feels much more interesting. It's those odd combinations of sculpture meets painting meets processing meets 3D meets, you know, live action, and comes together to tell a story, that makes at the end of the day like happier for us. Like we've done something that excited us.